It was Emmanuel's dream to become the greatest detective in the world. But to do that, he needed to get accepted to the International Detective Academy. On their entrance exam, they wanted to test the visual perception skills of the potential students. So they gave students 3 images and asked them to find out what was wrong with them. The one who spotted the abnormality the fastest would get in. Here's the first image. Can you help Emmanuel out? The clock on the wall says it's 12 p.m., but the window view suggests it's sunset time. That doesn't add up, even if it's noon or midnight. Here's the second image. What's wrong here? The lady sitting at this table appears to be reading a book, but she's holding it upside down. And the last image. Spot the weird thing real quick. The picture on the wall is supposed to be a historical portrait, but the queen on it is holding a cell phone in her right hand. The county detective agency got a call from the sheriff's office. A criminal who had been in prison for a few months had escaped the jail. They were able to chase her until she blended in with the crowd at the venue where the annual Iron Lady competition was taking place. The president of the agency wanted to test the new recruit, Michelle, so he sent her to find the criminal without giving any information about what she looked like. Once Michelle arrived at the venue, 2 suspicious-looking ladies competing on the weightlifting stage caught her eye. Can you help Michelle identify which one is the criminal? It must be the lady on the right with the long hair and dark brown roots. Since she was in prison for a few months, she wouldn't be able to dye her hair there. Arya, a brave knight, was seeking the enchanted sword to save her kingdom from a cyclops. However, it was guarded by an ancient dragon who loved to play games. When Arya finally made it to the top of the Misty Mountains where the sword was, the dragon greeted her and said, "Only the one who answers my riddle is worthy of wielding the sword. Tell me, what is it that given one? You either have 2 or none." The answer is a choice. Van Pulsing was a famous monster hunter. One day, he got a call from a couple who were the owners of an old mansion. They claimed that there were monsters occupying their home, hiding in plain sight and making them live in fear. They wanted Van Pulsing to free their house from them. He said they should continue their usual day, and he would observe where the monsters could be. Take a look at the bedroom. Can you spot the monster? Here, this is not a human hand. Where could the monster be hiding in this portrait room? Do you see Van Pulsing's shadow on the ground? It looks totally different from him. That must be some other shadow monster. Where's the monster in this reading room? Look at these candles here. The flames are eye-shaped. That must be a fire monster. The main ice sculpture at the Winter Festival was mysteriously melted hours before the grand opening. Angelica, the event planner, got suspicious of 3 participants: Derek, who was setting up food stalls, Olivia, in charge of decorations, and Sam, who was nowhere to be found earlier. Can you help her figure out who sabotaged the sculpture? See the small temperature arranging box directly below the sculpture area? It is password protected. And look at Olivia's palm. There are numbers written on it, which appear to be some sort of a password. It must be her who tampered with the system to melt the sculpture. Jared and Rita were going camping in the woods and had to choose a site to set up their tent. There were 3 differing camping areas available: Emerald Forest Camping, Firefly Mountain Campgrounds, and Starlight Lake Campsite. Can you help them decide which spot is the best? Look at this tree in Emerald Forest Camping. There's a bear hiding there. This option is definitely a dangerous one. Firefly Mountain Campgrounds is located next to a rocky hill. These loose stones and sharp rock edges pose a great risk. So they should pick the Starlight Lake campsite. A famous sculpture went missing from the art school gallery. Detective Joshua was informed that there were 3 students who were last seen near the gallery. Alexandra claimed that she was sketching in her notebook. Beckett said he was in a pottery class, and Caleb said he was reading in the library. Detective Joshua could immediately tell who had the missing statue. Can you? Check out Alexandra's sketchbook. Among her sketches, there's a detailed drawing of the missing sculpture, suggesting she took it to study and draw from it. The Museum of Art was doing a special exhibition of a very famous modern painting. There was a rumor that on the day of the gala, the artist who painted it was also going to be there. However, no one knew what they looked like because they were keeping their face a mystery to the public, and only the curators knew what they looked like. James was an art student and was a big fan of this painting. He had an invitation to the gala and was determined to meet the artist. Take a look at these 3 guests. Who do you think might be the artist of the painting behind them? We already know the name of the artist from their signature on the painting. It's Ali. Now, even though the second guy here is holding an exhibition brochure with the same signature, look at the tag he has on his jacket. It says he's the curator, so he already knows what the artist looked like, and he's just another fan. Now, check out the third lady. She's holding a red-colored pen, just like the color of the signature on the brochure. She must be the one who signed it, so she's the mysterious artist. It was snowing a lot that winter. Penny, the police officer, was on duty at the Commonwealth neighborhood. During one of her regular patrols, she noticed a suspicious-looking man who was carrying 2 bags full of stuff. When she asked him what he had in them, he said they were clothes for donation. Still, Officer Penny arrested him. Why? Look at the footprints on the snow. He left the house through the window after robbing it. If he lived there, he would rather use the door. Ellie went to the beach on a hot summer day. As she was placing her towel and umbrella on the sand, she noticed someone had dropped their diamond ring. She went to the beach guard and asked him to announce if anybody was missing their ring. After the announcement, 3 people, Jennifer, Shelley, and Marie, came and said the ring belonged to them. Can you help them figure out who is telling the truth? take a look at Marie's ring finger on her left hand. She has a tan line there. She must have been sunbathing when she dropped her diamond ring. Bernie was working in Los Angeles, and his girlfriend Deborah was working in Austin, Texas. She was living alone in a studio apartment. They loved each other very much and talked all the time. They were keeping their long-distance relationship alive by exchanging photos every day. But one day, after Bernie received 3 photos from Deborah, he immediately called her and said everything was over between them. Can you tell why? In the bathroom photo, there are 2 toothbrushes, even though she lives alone. In the living room photo, there is a man's shoe on the floor next to the door. And in the kitchen photo, on the planner on the fridge, Tuesday is circled. And inside the circle, it says, "Date night with James." Deborah is clearly cheating on Bernie.
Hey, the best detective on the bright side. Today, we need your help again. Are you ready for a bunch of almost unsolvable riddles? Let's get the ball rolling. Look at these girls. Who's in greater danger? The girl on the right. Have you noticed that she's holding on to a snake? How about these ladies? Which of them is in greater danger? The one on the left. She's got a bleeding cut on her leg, and a shark is following her, attracted by the smell. A magician locked Timothy up in a room on top of a high tower with only one window and no doors whatsoever. Then the magician set the tower on fire and left. Timothy had to escape fast. He had 3 magic potions hidden in his pocket. One could give him incredible strength. The second could turn him into a vampire. And the third potion would let him summon any animal. Which potion should the man drink? Incredible strength won't save him in this dramatic situation. No animal will be able to help him escape. His only chance to survive is to become a vampire, turn into a bat, and fly away. Look at these people. They seem to be in grave danger, but one of them can actually escape pretty easily. Can you figure out who it is? It's the man on the left. First of all, he's protected from the hungry crocodiles by the bars of his cage. Plus, while being tied up, he took preventative measures that can now help him free himself. Look, when he was being tied, he spread his elbows, creating some slack in the ropes. It'll help him free himself easily. You're lost in the jungle. It's getting dark, and you need to get out of there as soon as possible. There are 4 roads leading to the east, west, north, and south, respectively. But dangers are lurking at the end of each road. The east road leads to a black hole that can swallow you in no time. The west road goes through a lake inhabited by whale sharks. If you opt for the north road, it will lead you to a giant pit in the ground that can't be crossed. And the south road is obstructed by a high mountain that is impossible to climb over. Which road should you pick to escape the dangers of the night jungle? Whale sharks are totally harmless to humans, so your safest option is crossing the lake. If you can swim, that is. On a nice summer morning, a traveler was walking through the jungle. Suddenly, she saw 3 paths in front of her. The first one ended in a dangerous people-swallowing swamp. The second path was vampires' favorite hunting ground. And the third path led to an active volcano spitting lava and burning everything around. Which path should the traveler choose? Do you remember that it was a sunny summer morning? Vampires are afraid of sunlight. It's unlikely the traveler will meet them during the day. So she should opt for the second path. You're stuck on a deserted island. Suddenly, you see a ship. It's pretty far from the shore. What can you use to communicate with it? A smartphone, a box of matches, a megaphone, or a telescope? A smartphone is pretty much useless on a deserted island. There's no coverage there. A telescope won't help you either. You'll see the ship, but you won't be able to communicate with it. The capacity of a megaphone is too small for your screams to reach the vessel. Your only chance to be noticed is to use those matchsticks to start a fire. Fire and smoke indicate an emergency, and people on the ship are more likely to notice such a signal. Mark was going home one evening when a large cat jumped out of the bushes right in front of him. The creature had large fangs and sharp claws. It was about to pounce on Mark. The guy only had his phone, a handkerchief, and a bottle of water. And still, he came out of this situation unscathed. How did he escape from the cat? Cats aren't huge fans of water, so Mark just poured some water on the feline and it scared the animal away. Look at these grannies. Which one is a real zombie? The one on the left, her eyes are eerily white, and she doesn't have ears. Creepy. Vincent got locked in a room with no windows and only one massive door. There's a panel with several buttons on the left and another one with a hint on it on the right. There's also a clock on the wall above the door. Which button should Vincent press to get out of the trap? The green triangle. The numbers on the panel, 3, 6, and 9, represent hours. If you connect them on the clock face, you'll get a triangle. Detective Marcus and another passerby became witnesses of a car accident. A man hit by a van was lying on the ground unconscious. Marcus rushed to the nearest cafe to call an ambulance. When he got back, the passerby told him the man had turned onto his back but hadn't come to his senses. After looking at the scene for a couple of seconds, the detective told the passerby to return everything he had taken from the injured man. Why did he say so? When they first saw the man, only one button was buttoned on his suit jacket. But now it's already 2 buttons. The passerby must have opened his jacket to look for the wallet and then buttoned it up incorrectly. Ralph, Willie, Amber, and Grace are in a museum room. Someone stole a priceless exhibit from this room several hours ago. Ralph, Willie, and Amber claim they have nothing to do with the crime. But the detective doesn't believe them. They all get arrested and taken to the police station. Only Grace, who hasn't answered the question, is free to go. Why? Grace is the detective. Look at this picture and try to figure out who is an alien in disguise. It's the guy in a yellow shirt. He's eating a banana, but he hasn't peeled it before biting on it. He probably sees this fruit for the first time. Detective Darson suspected one man of committing a crime. He decided to stake out his house. Not too far away, he spotted an artist setting up her easel. Apparently, she was going to draw the criminal's house. At one point, the detective had to drop by the police station. He asked the girl to call him if she saw someone entering or leaving the house. She agreed. When the detective came back in the evening, the artist told him she'd seen no one. The man immediately understood she was lying. How did he figure it out? When he was leaving, all the windows in the house were closed, but in the picture the girl drew, the windows are open. It means someone was inside while Mark was away. One wealthy businessman was famous for always wearing a black hat. But one day, he came to his office with a bunch of fruit on his head. His employees were shocked, but they didn't dare to question the man. The situation repeated the next day. On the third day, the businessman's secretary plucked up all his courage and asked what was going on. The man answered that he'd lost a bet. He hadn't fulfilled it yet, but he was going to do it that day. Then he told his secretary not to order lunch for him. What did the businessman have to do to fulfill the bet? When he made this bet, he said, "If I lose, I'll eat my hat." You've got a sack filled with coffee beans. You need to use this coffee to completely fill 2 other sacks of the same size. How can you do it? Put one empty sack into the other and fill it with coffee. Aubrey and her boyfriend Leo lost each other at a concert. He's in one of these toilet stalls. Can you help Aubrey find her partner? Leo is in the first stall. They have matching tattoos. Aubrey and Leo return to the concert. Suddenly, Aubrey notices that one of these musicians isn't real. Who? The guitarist is not real. His guitar has no strings.
Really?
After the concert, Aubrey goes backstage to say hello to the musicians. In the hallway, she meets 3 lady fans. One of them is a werewolf. Can you guess who? The first and the second ladies don't have any shadows, therefore, they're vampires. So, only the third lady can be a werewolf.
Oh.
Aubrey enters the dressing room and finds the singer, Emma, unconscious on the floor. Aubrey calls the police and an ambulance. Officers question 3 suspects. The guitarist says, "I left the dressing room for 15 minutes to go to the toilet." The drummer says, "Emma asked me to bring her a burger with fries from the kitchen. When I returned, the police were already there." The piano player says,
I was taking selfies with my fans in the hallway.
"Who's lying?" The drummer. His hands are empty, so he didn't bring any burgers.
Oh no!
After helping the police, Aubrey and Leo leave the concert hall to go home. 3 taxi drivers offer them a ride, but one of them is dangerous. Can you guess who? The second driver has a hyena in the back seat of his car. The next morning, Aubrey goes to the park for her daily workout. She spots two people chilling on two benches. One of them is a villain. Can you guess who? The lady is just having a picnic. But take a look at the guy. His magazine is upside down, so he's probably tracking someone. Busted!
Oh no.
Aubrey takes two pictures of the pond. Can you find 5 differences between them? Feel free to stop the video if you need more time. Are you ready to see the answers? Here they are.
Oh, yes.
Aubrey gets a message from her friend, Mary Jane. She fell from a bridge today,
Ah.
but she survived. How? Spider-Man saved her. She's Mary Jane, remember? Aubrey goes to visit Mary Jane at her condo, but the local security guard will only let Aubrey in if she cracks this riddle. I get sharper the more I'm used. What am I? Easy peasy. It's the brain. Mary Jane greets Aubrey and treats her to cupcakes and tea. There are 4 cupcakes in the box. One of them isn't safe. Can you guess which one? The first cupcake is a bit smashed, but that doesn't mean it's not edible. The second one looks fine. The fourth cupcake is a little burnt, but it can still be delicious. But the third cupcake has glass shards on top. Definitely not safe.
Oh, God.
Aubrey returns home and turns on the TV. Breaking news, everyone! A dangerous criminal has escaped from prison, and now he's walking around Aubrey's neighborhood.
What?
Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Aubrey checks her camera and sees 2 people standing on her porch. Both say that they're delivery guys, but one of them is the famous runaway criminal. Can you guess who? The guy on the left. He hides an axe in one of his trouser legs.
Oh, my God.
Aubrey calls the police, but the criminal realizes her intentions and escapes through the backyard. The police follow him and end up in a parking lot. The criminal is hiding in one of these 5 cars. Can you find him? These 4 cars seem empty, and they don't have any signs of a break-in. Meanwhile, someone's moving in the back seat of the 5th car. Busted! Aubrey is heading home from the police station and sees this scene. One of them is lying. Can you guess who? The vampire hunter is lying. This guy isn't a real vampire. He got scared and his cheeks turned red. Also, he has a shadow, just like humans. Aubrey keeps walking and comes across 3 neighbors arguing about one bike. Whose bike is it? The bike belongs to the red hat guy. The rest are wearing helmets, but his helmet is on the bike.
Oh.
The next day, Aubrey goes to the supermarket. She grabs some food and goes to the cashier to pay. Oh no, her card holder is missing. Aubrey interrogates 3 people standing nearby. Ethan says he was talking on the phone and he didn't steal anything. Mia says that she didn't touch Aubrey's stuff. Her hands were full with her own purchases. And the cashier says that she didn't notice any card holders. Aubrey knows for sure who's the thief. What about you? Take a look at Mia's purchases. She hid Aubrey's card holder inside the kale. Aubrey enters the local diner to have lunch. But this is not a regular boring restaurant. One of these two customers is a former mermaid. Can you guess who? Take a closer look at the second lady. She has scratches on her knees. That's because she's learned to walk just recently.
Oh.
Aubrey takes a seat and notices these two innocent-looking couples. One of the couples are visiting from another planet. Can you guess who? Take a look at the first table. The guy puts toothpicks in his pasta like salt or pepper. It's very unlikely that he's human. The next morning, Aubrey enters her office. Oh no, someone broke into her desk and stole her laptop. Yesterday, she locked it in her drawer. Aubrey calls the security guards and they question 4 suspects. The cleaning lady says, "I only entered Aubrey's room once to take out the trash early in the morning. I didn't touch her desk." The designer says, "Yesterday I left earlier than Aubrey, so I didn't see anything." The office manager says, "I was the first one to arrive today, but I spent all morning in my own room working on an urgent task." And the account manager says,
I was having a business meeting in the conference room all morning.
"Who's lying?" The cleaning lady. Take a look at Aubrey's bin. She didn't take out the trash, so her story is fake. Aubrey and Leo go for a walk on the beach. But something is wrong here. Can you guess what? No waves. Aubrey and Leo keep on walking and get lost in a huge maze.
Oh my god.
Can you help them escape?
Oh no.
Here's the only way out. Suddenly, the guys see a curious animal. It has feet but no legs. Which animal is it? It's a snail. Snail foot is a muscle that allows it to move. Aubrey and Leo decide to explore the local haunted house. They enter a creepy hallway and the door slams shut. The guys wander around and find another door with a combination lock. They have to figure out the 5-digit code to open it. Can you help the guys figure out the code? Take a look at these fancy runes on the wall. It's a hint. These are just mirrored digits. The code is 13947.
Yes!
The guys open the door. They faint because the next room is filled with sleeping gas. After a while, they wake up in a basement and see a drawing of the floor. Suddenly, a creepy voice says, "2 letters are missing here. Guess which ones, and I'll set you free. If you don't, you'll stay here forever." Can you help the guys out? The missing letters are N and N. The guys open the next door and see a bunch of butterflies flying in the air. Can you count the exact number of green butterflies? Seven.
Yeah!
Now let's see if you can count the number of pink butterflies. The correct answer is 9.
Oh my god.
Finally, the guys get out of the haunted house. They take 2 pictures for their social media. Can you find 5 differences between them? Ready to see the differences? Here they are. The haunted house has a garden maze. Can you help the guys get out? They should definitely choose the first route. Mason is moving to a new town. On the way, he makes a stop at the local gas station. He wants to pay for gas and snacks, but his red leather wallet is missing. Mason interrogates 3 people standing nearby. Ashley says that she didn't touch Mason's stuff. Both of her hands were full of sandwiches. Lily says she was taking selfies for her social media. And the cashier, Xavier, said that he didn't notice any red wallets. Mason knows for sure who's the thief. What about you? Take a look at Ashley's sandwiches. She hid Mason's wallet between 2 pieces of bread. Mason exposes the thief and continues on his journey. He gets hungry and goes to a diner. But immediately, Mason feels something off about this place. Something's completely wrong with one of these 3 waiters. Which one? The lady on the left has wolf teeth, and she doesn't wear any badge on her uniform, so it makes sense to stay away from her. Mason arrives at the town late at night. He parks his car and looks around. Suddenly, Mason notices an unconscious lady on the ground. He calls the police and an ambulance. They arrive very quickly. Meanwhile, the lady comes to her senses, but she finds out that all her money is missing. The police have 3 suspects, Mason and 2 other pedestrians, Noah and Mike. Who's the thief? Take a look at the ground. There are 2 types of footsteps leading to the place where the lady is lying. One of them belongs to her, and the other one was left by Mason. There are 2 parallel straight lines left by a wheelchair. So the thief must be Mike. Oh no! The next day, Mason meets his neighbors.
Hello.
It's an elderly couple, Ralph and Glenda. They have just finished building a fancy new house. The house looks beautiful, and they invite their 3 grandchildren over to have a look at their work. It takes 1 day for 1 guy and 2 girls to break several windows, knock down the fence, remove the decorations, and ruin the roof. But the retired couple doesn't mind. They just smile looking at the teenagers. Can you figure out why? The grandparents made a gingerbread house and invited their grandchildren to enjoy it. Dinner time. Mason enters a local restaurant. 2 tables are occupied, but this is not a regular boring restaurant. One of these families belongs to the Mafia. Can you guess which one? Take a closer look at the second family. The daughter holds a teddy bear that's stuffed with dollars. Mason decides to go to another place instead. He takes a look at these 2 tables and spots the Mafia family right away. What about you? It's the first family. The father has a red laser dot at the level of his heart. A sniper is aiming at him. Mason switches restaurants again. 2 tables are occupied by innocent-looking families. Yet again, one of these groups belongs to the Mafia. Can you guess which one? Take a look at the second table. The father is hiding a gold bar in his menu.
Oh.
The next morning, Mason goes to check out the local pool. Can you spot an undercover cop among these people? This guy has a suspicious earphone in his ear. Why would he need it while swimming? Mason is terrible at packing. Today, he's going camping in the forest. Can you help him pack his stuff? Take a look at his bag and spot all the useless items. Oh, look! He has an electric hairdryer, but there's no electricity in the forest, so he can definitely leave it at home. Mason and his friend Bennett go hiking in the local forest. On the way, they meet two ladies, Anna and Alice. They hang out together, and both guys fall in love with Anna. They want to take her on a date. So the guys secretly ask Alice which of them Anna likes more. Alice doesn't want to share her bestie's secrets, but she gives the guys a hint. Anna loves pizza, but she can't stand burgers. She likes to go to the pool, but she never goes to the gym. Her favorite animal is the llama, but she's afraid of zebras. Which one of these guys does Anna like? Alice wanted to give the guys a clue, so we have to look for some patterns in her words. All the things Anna likes have double letters. Bennett has 2 double letters in his name, so he must be Anna's crush. The guys keep on hiking. Suddenly, they see a beautiful large apple tree growing on a cliff. If a powerful wind blows towards the land, where will the apples fall? In any case, they'll fall down. Alice needs to leave for the city, but Mason, Bennett, and Anna decide to spend the night in the wild. The next day, they wake up in a terrible trap. They're hanging upside down in the air with their legs tied. There's a bunch of venomous snakes on the ground under Mason. There's fire and hot coals under Anna, and dangerous scorpions are crawling under Bennett. How can the guys survive? Can you see that black cloud with lightning? It's gonna start raining soon. The rainwater will put out the fire under Anna. This lady has a knife, so she can cut the rope and then help the others.
Yes!
The guys escape, but they get lost in the forest. It gets dark. They're wandering around and come across a creepy cabin. It belongs to a witch. She says the guys must solve a riddle if they want to escape from her land. The witch writes a number. There are 2 special things about it. What are they? First, this number contains all existing digits. Second, they're put in alphabetical order.
Oh.
Mason and his friends return to the town. Meanwhile, someone robbed the local museum and stole the most valuable painting.
Oh no.
A detective investigates the crime scene and finds the thief right away. However, when asked to give it back, the criminal provides the police with 3 copies of the same painting. He refuses to tell which one is original. Can you find the real masterpiece? Each painting has a different frame, but only one of them is perfectly similar to the other frames hanging in the museum. And since this museum uses the same style of frames, this painting should be the original. Mason gets a new job in a small company. Only 4 people work with him. One day, Mason comes to the office and he doesn't find his favorite slippers. Mason always puts them on while working. He searches everywhere and finally spots them on the roof of the building. Mason is furious. He questions his coworkers. Bill says, "I don't even know where you keep your slippers." Phil says,
I'm terrified of heights. I've never climbed up there.
Mara says,
I'm wearing high heels today. I can hardly walk in them.
and Ella says,
I respect you too much to prank you, sir.
One of them is lying. Who? It's Phil. He said he was afraid of heights, but take a look at the photo on his table. He's skydiving with a parachute. Liar. After work, Mason returns to his condo. He enters the elevator with 3 people. One of them is a police officer working undercover. Can you guess who? Take a look at this old lady's outfit. She has a tiny hidden video camera in her hat. Mason enters his apartment. Oh no! Someone broke the lock and stole his precious golden cup. Mason calls the police and they question 3 neighbors. George was painting his living room all day. He listened to loud music so he couldn't hear anything. Bella was walking with her boyfriend all day long. They've just returned home. And Aaron was sick, so he only went out once that day to take out his trash. He heard weird noises from Mason's apartment. Who's lying? George. His living room doesn't look freshly painted.
Oh no.
Cora gets a new job and moves into a luxury apartment in Manhattan. Her condo has 13 floors. 5 people are living on the ground floor, and each floor has 2 more people on it compared to the previous one. Which floor calls the elevator the most? Any person who lives on a floor other than the ground floor would have to call the elevator to reach their respective floors. So, the ground floor should call the elevator way more frequently than the other floors.
Oh.
Cora meets her neighbor, Mason. He has 4 daughters, Hannah, Elle, Eve, and Anna. What pattern did he use to name them? His daughters have palindromic names. You can read them from left to right and from right to left, but they'll remain the same.
Oh.
Cora takes the elevator to the 13th floor where she lives. The elevator takes her to the desired floor. She comes out and freaks out right away. Why? Take a look at the mirror. It didn't reflect the number 13 correctly.
Oh god.
4 movers show up to help Cora with her boxes, but one of them is an imposter.
Hello.
Can you guess who? The third guy carries the only box that doesn't have Cora's name on it. Also, one of his arms is in a cast. He hid it under his gloves and sleeves, but Cora cannot be tricked so easily. The next day, Cora receives 4 welcome baskets from her neighbors. One of them isn't safe. Can you guess which one? The second basket looks delicious, but take a closer look. There are bugs instead of chocolate in these cookies. Yuck! Cora wants to hire a cleaner to take care of her apartment. She interviews 3 people. Sandra says she has 20 years of experience in this field. Harry is a student who needs extra money to pay his bills and buy food. And Bianca has recently moved from her parents' farm. She needs a job as soon as possible. Who's lying? Harry. Take a closer look. He's too transparent to be a real human. Ghosts don't need to pay bills and buy food. Liar.
Oh no.
There's a swimming pool on the roof of Cora's condo. She goes there and meets 3 neighbors in the shower. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? The third lady is a visitor from outer space. She has 7 toes instead of 5. Also, she lacks a belly button, and it seems like the shower steam goes through her body.
Oh god.
Cora comes back home and finds out that someone stole one of her expensive paintings and replaced it with a cheap copy.
What?
How did she know? The third painting has a slightly thinner frame than the others. That's because it's a fake. Cora decides to question her neighbors. She knocks on 2 doors just next to hers. Ashley and Megan live in separate apartments just next to Cora. These 2 ladies have partners, but one of them dates 3 people at once. Can you guess who? Ashley has 3 different cakes in her fridge, so she probably had 3 different guests recently. Cora wants to find the thief who stole her painting, so she calls the police. Officers examine the crime scene and arrest 3 suspects right away. Can you tell who's guilty by just looking at this picture? The thief left footprints of sneakers on the carpet next to the paintings. Only the first suspect has the matching shoes and size.
Ah.
The next morning, Cora goes hiking in the woods, and eventually she gets lost. There are 3 routes that she can take. One has animal footprints, the second one has human footprints, and the third route is along the river. Which path is the most reliable? Cora should choose the third route. Animals might be dangerous and people are not reliable, but the river will lead her to the city or a bigger body of water with a beach. In the evening, Cora goes to the local concert hall. One of these guys is a real magician. Can you guess who? The first guy is hiding a card under his sleeve. The second one makes his card levitate with the help of teeny tiny strings. But the third magician's hat levitates on its own.
Oh.
So he's the real one. Cora is watching an opera set in ancient Egypt, so the actors are dressed in appropriate costumes. After the show, Cora goes backstage to meet them. But one of these people is not an actor.
Oh.
This person is a time traveler from the past. Can you spot the imposter? All 4 people are dressed in ancient Egyptian costumes, so we should use the method of elimination. The first guy is using a smartphone, so he's probably an actor. The second lady has a modern manicure, so let's exclude her too. The fourth lady has a sports car tattoo on her leg, so she must be from this century as well. Therefore, the third guy is a time traveler.
Ah.
Cora arrives at the condo after the opera late at night. She enters the empty lobby and suddenly hears weird sounds from the basement. Cora goes there to check and finds herself in a secret, spooky dungeon. She finds a door with a combination lock which requires a 4-letter password. There is a mirror next to the door. Someone wrote the word "live" on its surface. Cora tries to enter this word, but it doesn't work. Can you help her crack the code? The mirror is part of the clue. Cora should reflect this word, and the password is evil. Finally, Cora opens the door. She sees a secret meeting taking place in a creepy hallway. All participants are dressed in robes and masks. They catch Cora and offer her a deal. If she manages to crack their riddles, she'll become part of the club. But if not, she'll remain locked in the dungeon forever.
Ah.
Here's the riddle. My neighbor makes mistakes. I get rid of them. Who am I? Can you help Cora out? I'm an eraser. Cora nails it, and now she's invited to go into the Hall of Mirrors alone. Cora sees a bunch of fun reflections of herself in the weird mirrors, but suddenly, she freaks out and screams. Why is that? One of the reflections doesn't belong to Cora, so she's not alone in this room. Cora enters the next room and gets trapped in a spooky, abandoned public shower. She needs to choose one of these 3 doors to get out. There's a bunch of hungry rats behind the first door. There's an unknown glowing substance behind the second door. It may or may not be toxic. And there's a firewall behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? Cora should choose the third door. Look around. She's in the shower, remember? She can use a bucket and water to put out the fire. Now Cora needs to crack this twisted circle maze to find the way out. Can you help her? Here's the correct route. Cora enters the next room and finds herself in a huge, chic dining room. There are 3 figures in robes and masks staring at her, but one of them is just a statue. Can you guess who? The first figure is breathing deeply. The second is blinking. You can see it through the mask. So the third figure must be the statue.
Oh god.
People in masks give Cora 3 envelopes. She can choose one of them and take what's inside as a gift. One of them contains a $100 million diamond necklace. Another one, a pair of wool socks. And the third one, $10,000 in cash. Each envelope is signed. The first one says, "Necklace isn't here." The second one says, "Necklace is here." And the third one says, "Necklace might be here." Can you help Cora make the right choice? She should ignore the writings and simply weigh the envelopes. The desired one should be much heavier than the others.
Oh yes.
Cora gets her necklace. The secret club members take off their robes and masks and turn on the lights. Cora recognizes her neighbors. That was just a welcoming prank. But still, something is odd here. Can you guess what? The lamp levitates.
Oh my god.
Get ready to decipher the enigma.
3 women gathered at a table in a popular cafe. Their appearances seemed to reveal their financial status. 2 of them looked wealthy, while one woman didn't seem to be as well off. Look at these ladies very attentively and write in the comments which of them is not actually rich. The answer might not be as obvious as it seems. The woman wearing pearls is not trying to show off her wealth. She's content with her simple, sustainable life. This suggests that she's truly rich. The second woman has extremely expensive accessories. She doesn't need a car, since she will be picked up by her driver and notified of their arrival through her Apple Watch. But the third woman is not actually rich. She doesn't have any valuable possessions, and that money falling out of her bag is actually fake. Look at these 2 couples lounging on the beach. There are designer bags by their side, and they're dressed in fancy swimsuits. At first glance, both couples appear to be well off, but only one of them possesses true richness. If you have already figured out which couple it is, share your ideas in the comments. The couple on the left have some fake items. If you look at them attentively, you'll notice that the logos are written incorrectly. They're also pale. Can it be because they have to work all the time and go on vacation just once a year? As for the couple on the right, their seemingly simpler yet well-maintained belongings suggest that they value quality over extravagance. And their worn luggage speaks of their many trips. Plus, they have tanned skin, which means that they can vacation much more often. A suspected criminal, Doug the Evil Man, had been bouncing around various places in the world. Interpol had been trailing him, expecting to catch him with large amounts of unaccountable cash. When they finally got their hands on the criminal, they only found sunglasses, a wallet containing about $50 American, credit cards, and some foreign loose change. They had nothing to do but let the guy go. In reality, though, Man managed to sneak a fortune right before the authorities' eyes. If you have any ideas about how he did it, share them in the comments. These foreign coins were actually extremely rare and incredibly expensive ancient coins. Detective Stanwyck came to Mr. Pennyroll's house to investigate a crime. Mr. Pennyroll claimed he had been kidnapped by bank robbers when he had arrived to open up the bank where he was the assistant manager. They made him open the safe and give them the money. They told the man to drive them to his house. They wanted to get his wife's jewelry too.
Oh my God!
While they were on the way, one of the criminals moved the money into a paper bag and threw the bank bag out of the window. When the car stopped at the red light 2 blocks later, the banker managed to escape. The detective decided to follow the route back to the bank to look for clues. At one point, Mr. Pennyroll shouted that he saw the empty bank bag, and a few minutes later, he pointed at the red light where he managed to escape. When they arrived at the bank, Detective Stanwyck arrested Mr. Pennyroll for a false report. Have you noticed a problem with the banker's story? Then tell us in the comments below. While heading back to the bank, they should not have reached the money bag before they reached the corner where Mr. Pennyroll jumped out of the car. He supposedly did that after the criminal had tossed the bag out. If this story was true, the detective and banker would have passed the corner first and the money bag next on the way back to the bank. Now, there's a truly mysterious case for you. Chelsea walked up to a parked taxi, handed the taxi driver a $20 note, and walked away. Here are the things you need to know. She's not very good with directions. $20 is too big of a tip for giving directions. The girl also has a car of her own, and it's not broken. Can you solve this mystery faster than the other Brightsiders? Leave your answer in the comments. Chelsea was lost and paid the taxi driver to take her to her destination. She followed him in her own car. Look at this picture very attentively. Can you spot a thief and explain your choice in the comments below the video? It's the woman in the brown coat with white lapels. She stands out among the crowd, as everyone else is either wearing sleeveless or short-sleeved outfits. Stephen called the police to report that his valuables were missing. When the police arrived, the man told them he had gone on a camping trip alone. He just got there and set up his tent when it started raining heavily. He hurried to get some dry firewood and left his bag with his wallet and all the documents inside the tent. When he came back, everything was gone. The police officers didn't believe Stephen and fined him for making a false call. Have you figured out how they understood that the man was lying? Tell us in the comments. Stephen said he had set up the tent before it started to rain. But then, why is there a big puddle inside? Tom vanished at around 10 p.m. on Friday in the fall. A police officer questioned his 4 friends. She suspected that one of them had something to do with the guy's disappearance. She asked each of them what they had been doing at that time. Adam said he had been choosing an outfit for a date. Daniel was getting ready for a party that was going to take place at his apartment. Sophia said she had been relaxing by doing yoga before her night shift at work. And Jake was watching birds in the park. After questioning the suspects, the police officer arrested one of Tom's friends. If you know who she detained, write it in the comments. It was Jake. At 10 p.m. in the fall, it's too dark to see birds outside. Police officer James was called into a small hotel to investigate a mysterious jewelry disappearance. Emily had checked in the night before and put all her expensive diamonds in her hotel room safe. After she came back from lunch the next day, the jewelry was gone. James had 3 suspects. The receptionist said she had been out on her lunch break. The maid said another guest had checked out earlier that day, and she had been cleaning their room. Susan, another hotel guest, said that she had just woken up. One of these people is lying. If you figure out who it is, write your guess in the comments as fast as possible. It's Susan. She said she had just woken up, but look at her bed. The maid had already made it. Joan came home one evening and discovered that someone had robbed her house. When the police arrived, they went to question the neighbors. Victoria said that she had been visiting her friend who lived 2 blocks away. She came home a couple of minutes ago. Peter said that he had been ill. He only made a short trip to the pharmacy and stayed in bed after that. Nathan said that he and his wife had been preparing for a barbecue party with their friends. But it started raining heavily, and they had to cancel their plans. Help the police and write the name of the thief in the comments below. It was Victoria. It was raining, and she said she had just come home. But look! Her hair, clothes, and the umbrella, which is standing near the door, are absolutely dry. Tyler was going to his friend's place in the evening when a stranger in a black mask captured him. The next thing the guy knew, he was in a large room, locked in a cage. There were 3 levers in the wall next to the cage. If he pulled the first lever, he would let hungry lions into the cage. The second lever would flood the cage with water. And the third lever would activate a special mechanism that would make the top of the cage move down towards the bottom, crushing everyone and everything inside. Which lever should Tyler pull to survive? Share your choice in the comments. His only choice is the second lever. All the water will flow out through the bars of the cage.